Sliders Podcast with Blair and Brandon.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back again for another episode of the Throwin Sliders Podcast. And this one's episode 73, one for Bryan Clauson, and we'll obviously elaborate why we chose that title. Pretty cool deal on Friday night. If you're a sprint car fan, the Throwin Sliders Podcast is part of Scrubbin' Tires Media, the number one racing podcast in Colorado and the supporting surrounding region. And Blair can attest to that, our analytics guy. That is proof, not just making that up. So we appreciate you guys for all making that happen, because without you, it would just be Blair and I talking every Monday night to each other, which we do anyway. But we thank you for being part of this effort each and every single week. And with that, I am Brandon Hall, and to my right is Mr. Blair Cooper, the driver of the number 32 ASCS sprint car. Blair, how you doing tonight, buddy?
Good, man. You know, I was thinking, what if I just came on here like super animated? You know, I feel like sometimes it's the end of Monday and everybody's dragging. And what if I just came on here Ric Flair style or something? I'm not a big wrestling guy, but I know he does a lot of wooing. But there's probably a reason why he's so jacked up too. But I don't quite have that.
Yeah, it might be a powder that's white. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we've done a couple wrestling. We did the Hulk Hogan. What are you gonna do, brother?
I don't know any of that.
Yes, you do. You don't know who Hulk Hogan is?
Well, yeah, no, but not since I was in like 5th grade. I think I had watched some wrestling, but anyway. Yeah, okay.
All right, well, we'll mark that down for next week's episode that Blair's going to do the hot open Ric Flair style. Wheeling, dealing. Oh, what does he say? I can't remember. I used to know that.
I don't know if I have it in me.
Yes, you do.
Maybe Kenny Powers or something, but it's going to be profanity laced. We'll get the show shut off right out of the gate.
We're going straight late 80s, 90s WWF, like The Rock. You got so many characters to choose from that you could do a hot open on. Anyways, back to racing and back to this podcast before we get completely derailed some 2 minutes and 40 seconds in. This episode is, of course, brought to you by Hoosier of the Rockies, Mark and Samantha Hamilton. Blair's got a cool tidbit that I'm sure he'll share later on that we discussed in the pre-show about Mark and Samantha Hamilton and the CMS. Anyways, we appreciate their support. I know they're in Knoxville, Iowa this week and have been, as we discussed last week, but we appreciate their support. Hopefully they're watching. And it's never too late. Obviously, we're getting down to the nitty gritty locally and regionally with points and stuff. So if you guys need tires, fuel, different various parts, pieces, ends, figuratively and literally, definitely hit them up, because championships are going to be posted here in the next couple of weeks. 4-6 weeks ish. But thank you, Mark and Samantha. Hopefully you guys are watching and enjoying your time in Knoxville, but we'll give you your 1 minute 34 seconds of fame here and get right into it. If you're serious about performance, whether that's on the track or off-road, you already know having the right components and having them readily available is crucial. And that's exactly where Hoosier of the Rockies comes in. They are the official Hoosier tire dealer of Colorado, which makes it incredibly convenient for local racers to get the tires and supplies they need without the hassle of waiting or traveling out of state. What really sets them apart, though, is that they're not just your typical brick and mortar shop. They're right there in the action, trackside supporting racers when it counts most. Whether you need fresh tires between sessions or race weekends, fuel to keep you running, or critical components like radius rods, rod ends, wheels, and more, they've got you covered right then and there. Don't have what you're looking for? No problem. They can also order you and your team just about anything they stock in various sizes, colors, and specifications. Just let them know. That kind of support can make or break a race weekend, and it's why so many drivers trust them when it matters most. On top of that, Mark and Samantha Hamilton of Hamilton Motorsports bring real experience and passion to everything they do. They understand the demands of racing because they live it, and they're always ready with the right recommendations to keep you performing at your best. They race, you race, so let's race together. If you're looking to stay competitive and fully supported on or off the track, check out Hoosier of the Rockies and see why racers across the region rely on them. Call 303-632-6360. Visit them on Facebook, Hamilton Motorsports Racing, or stopping by locally in Arvada, Colorado. Hoosier of the Rockies and Hamilton Motorsports, the proud partner of Scrubbin' Tires Media and the Throwin Sliders Podcast. And speaking of Mr. Keith Roush in that little video for Hoosier of the Rockies, obviously, as you know, we were supposed to have him on tonight, but a personal matter came up. So looking forward to having Keith on. He will be back on He just had to bail out on this week. So we'll get him on in the very near future. But yeah, hope you're watching, Keith, and we're looking forward to that interview. But yeah, where do we want to break down the 360 Nationals from this past weekend? And be advised, Blair and I are going to make some picks for the 410s, and I think we're equal 1-1 the 2 years that we've been doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe we'll look to some of the viewers, the live viewers in the chat. So perks of being on with us live tonight. Maybe you can come up with a bet, or I guess what would that be? The consequences of losing the bet, rather, for Blair and I. We admittedly did not discuss that. What? Why do you all? Oh, Gunner.
Oh,
good to see you,
racing.
Gunner. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah, we just. Oh, but I was going to say, just to cut you off real quick, if you guys are in the chat, go ahead and get your picks in. Brandon and I did 2 mainstay picks that we think have a real shot, and then 1 dark horse. So anyway, get those ready to go, and we'll go over them.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you guys have something cool that you think would be a good consequence for the loser, definitely drop it in the chat, and we'll consider it. And if you recall, Blair shaving cream on his face. I can't remember what else. Oh, we did the roast of you, and that's the night that you had the shaving cream. I can't remember what we did last year, but nevertheless,
I think you got naked and ran through the quad or something. So,
oh, is that what I did? I don't remember that.
Yeah, it was a lot.
Yeah. All right, so you had Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Did you watch any of the actual race, Blair? Or did you just caught?
Yeah, I watched all the recaps, and I've watched some of the prelim stuff. But yeah, I was. It didn't. I still don't have flow, but I did get to see all the highlights.
It would have been on Dirt Vision, right?
No, but I don't know. Actually, it was Holbert calling on one of them. It's been a mix and match. Maybe it was. I don't know. It's just I watched it on YouTube. So
yeah, I am way out of the loop. Then if it's not on, I canceled my Dirt Vision subscription right before this because I was like, that's the only race I watch on Dirt Vision. Anyways, so yeah, take us through prelim Thursday night.
Well, I don't know that I could recap it that well. I just know that it was, it's Knoxville, so guys are hammered down. There was 106 cars in the 360, so sprint car stuff like that's alive and well. It's Knoxville. I mean, what are you going to say? That's where you're going to get the biggest car count of the year. I think everybody was kind of looking to see what Tim's would do coming back, and he's been running there kind of, more of their schedule is at home, being a home track, and then you got all the big boys showing up to come try to take the crown, and just a tough place. It's like you get behind in qualifying, then a bad redraw on that, and it's just like, man, what a hard weekend. So you see a lot of names in the back. I think even Rico was out of a C or a B, something like that. You got a lot of guys going home loading up. It's funny that we talk about it a lot too. The half mile stuff is a little bit different. It seems like it's been pretty good racing this year, but unless you start getting lap traffic, which ended up happening, the one I probably can recall the most was the last night between Tim's and Reitzel. Reitzel actually
the biggest
slammed
battle throughout the
Reitzel slammed into his back bumper as they came in off lap traffic and folded it down. In fact, when Tim's went to victory lane, he couldn't even stand on the rear bumper to do the climb up to the wing because it was flattened. But you could see Reitzel was on the brakes so hard it just lit him on fire immediately, trying to get around that lapper. But it's always half miles are either extremely good and guys are going nuts throwing bombs on each other, or it stretches out and turns into a parade. So we'll see what we get. Obviously, they know what they're doing with prep and stuff there.
Sure.
So you get that top and bottom, and guys are going to go for it. So I think that's some of the reason we've seen some of the big crashes too. Every year there, you just see some crashes that are brutal.
Mm-hmm.
And that's because everybody's on it all weekend from the time they roll in till the time they leave.
Yep.
But
you make a good point. 2 years ago, obviously we saw just a doozy, right? Kyle Larson leading flag to flag. Intermission was the coolest thing, right? Does he take a right rear? Does he not? And Paul Silva spit on that thing as we elaborated on that podcast. But so you had Gio Selzy on Thursday night, which the NASCAR connection that we have touched on multiple times with myself, which not going down that rabbit hole, but it is cool to see Spire Motorsports having a sprint car team and a truck team and a cup team. Like that's, obviously a lot of funding there, but it is cool to see that is technically a NASCAR sanctioned team. And I'm sure they operate out of a 100 by 100, square foot in the massive shop, but still cool to see. And they're not bad, right? I don't consider them technically like an A tier team, but I mean, they're getting it done. So it's cool to see. But yeah, I think really the highlights of, not to take away from Gio, but the highlights obviously were Friday and Saturday. And we can touch on Friday in prepping this episode right after we had talked to Keith and kind of went this route for today. It was, I admittedly, like you said, I watched a little bit of the recaps and did a lot of reading more so than watching on what happened. But something that obviously stuck out was, not just Tyler Courtney winning, because I think he's not just because he's in the ride, he is, but I think he's just a fan favorite in general, just a good dude. Are you getting feedback or is that me? Must be me.
I think it's you. I don't hear it. Yeah.
Okay. Well, good. I'll just deal with it the rest of the night. But yeah, so in the Clauson Marshall 7BC, obviously, for those that don't know, and that is obviously the family of the late Bryan Clauson. And yeah, I think we touched on it before. Courtney was, obviously good friends with Clauson and so forth. But just reading that he wins Friday night, and that's 10 years to the day that, Clauson obviously lost his life tragically, but just pretty cool. And I think Tyler, I personally think he handled it well. I mean, it wasn't the big show, right? Like, I don't want to lose sight of that and take away from Ryan Timms on Saturday, but I feel like for me personally, that was more sentimental, I guess is a correct way to say it. I mean, obviously Ryan Timms, 19 years old, we'll touch on that, and the battle with Reitzel, like you said, I think was probably the biggest battle of the 3 nights and the coolest to watch, what have you. But yeah, Tyler Courtney getting it done, 10 years. Obviously you can't script that kind of stuff. So I'm sure that whole team and Brian's family were pretty emotional seeing that. But yeah, I don't know your thoughts on that. I've talked enough about it. But.
No, it is. That's, and anytime, I think anything you win at Knoxville this time of year is going to be just, that can make guys' careers, start getting phone calls, might be ringing, especially if you're a lesser known guy. Obviously, I mean, we saw most of your outlaw and high limit guys running 360s. The fields are absolutely just stacked. So it's not like, oh, we just got this mix of your guys, tour guys. It's it's all the big dogs, even in the 360. And we've even heard like Team Ez and them compare. I mean, everybody's running so hard. He's like, I couldn't tell much of a difference, except the 410 when it wings over is just going to come through the corner harder. Sure. So I think it's probably pretty good prep. I don't know what the difference is there with the heavier nose on a 360, a little bit more weight to it, a little less horsepower. But it's pretty cool. I kind of wanted to touch back on it. It was something you said, and back to the Spire Motorsports. You are starting to see, not that there hasn't been, with Napa and a few of these others, but a lot of the teams are funded by kind of they're bigger businesses, but they're probably not publicly traded like you would see in NASCAR and stuff. Do you think with like the introduction of Chili's, which I think is an awesome looking car for one, and I think it's pretty cool to see some corporate funding and stuff like that go this route more so, do you think you're going to see more of that? And is that going to be good for the sport as far as the mid-tier guys? Are they going to either get picked up by some of these bigger teams? You know what I mean? The guys that are already full-time will probably be the first shot to get the big funding. They're probably already there. It's just like you said, we don't know the names as much of these companies, and maybe big trucking companies or farms. Oh, yeah. Do you think that will help, or is it going to end up kind of having the opposite effect and maybe hurting the sport even more? It's kind of like everybody got priced out of NASCAR. Right. Even the super late model route, we've seen, these cars getting up to close to the, over multiple 6-figure type deals, and to run an operation, everybody's got 2 or 3 or 4, even to go to the snowball, you just see massive money. But do you think that's going to be beneficial, or do you think that's going to end up hurting the sport?
Yeah. I mean, I think with respect to Spire specifically, to lead off your or to answer your lead off, I think the Chili's deal is a direct reflection of Carson Hocevar, obviously, because he drives for Spire on Sundays. One of the greatest sports stories currently in NASCAR, because he's just unfiltered and like not, your typical yes man in interviews. Like, he's just raw and he says what he says. There's rivalries with him because he's kind of aggressive. And obviously Chili's is one of his primary sponsors. I know they have taken that. I don't know if Spire is building the cars, the dirt late models that Carson runs a handful of every year. I would assume so, but regardless if they are or not, Chili's I did see is sponsoring that for him as well. So I think these corporate sponsors do see, obviously they're paying out the wazoo to have their logo on the car on Sundays, but it probably, I don't know if that's part of the package when they sign up for the sponsorship, say, hey, we'll give you 36 or whatever, 18 NASCAR races and then 5 of these sprint car races or whatever. But I think it's cool. But I think to your point, if it goes down that rabbit hole too much, it'll just be like NASCAR and the lower trucking companies, farms, like you said, or whoever else is sponsoring these guys will get priced out because ultimately they can't afford what a Napa or a Chili's or whatever else, can put towards this. So I don't want to see it go fully corporate. I do think there's opportunity for a few teams, and obviously Napa and some of the ones that Rico's got and Spire, like and NOS Energy, obviously that's big. I wouldn't compare NOS to probably Chili's or anything like that from a financial perspective, but I think there's a good mix, right? You need to have a good mix, but I don't want to go see it full, like, because then it's just gonna be NASCAR, but on Saturday night at the dirt track. We don't need that.
Yeah, the only thing I wonder too is you and I talked about it earlier in the pre-show was that guys were kind of expected to have to, in some of these rides they're having to bring their own funding. Like the Torgensen deal when he got in with Shark, it was like he had to come up with some money to even fill that seat. They weren't just looking for a top tier driver. Either they thought that those guys were all taken and they weren't going to switch via the contracts. There wasn't enough money there that they could pay, whether it was they couldn't even pay the 40% of the purse. They didn't think they were going to be finishing high enough to attract the top tier talent. But the only thing I can see is maybe a benefit of corporate dollars, and I'm sure I'm naive in this perspective, but that you could see guys that says, hey, you don't need to come with your own funding. If you've been winning races and kicking ass, you earn the seat. Like I feel like maybe the earlier NASCAR days were, and obviously now I don't see that as the case. It's, you kind of got to come with funding or something like that. We've heard that all over. So that might be the only benefit for some of these guys that really deserve a shot at least, or move top tier guys into those rides for more money.
Sure.
And maybe be on just a strict contract instead of winnings, or, maybe that's the bonus incentive. And then maybe some of these second tier rides that are equally capable of winning because everybody basically has the same equipment in the sprint cars still. I mean, I'm sure there's nuances to that. Guys are getting, different testing shots, had tested Fox shocks last year on a private test day, all bagged up, but they're taking, so the money's starting to fall in. But maybe you'll get to see some of these guys that are in just a little bit lower tier ride get bumped up to a top tier, and the guys that have been around and really earned it will get those, corporate funded rides, big companies. Because it's like Mesilla Valley Trucking has plenty of backing. You know what I mean? They're not, I don't think they're public, but stuff
or
like
even,
that is.
I mean, I haven't Googled this, but like 4C's construction, I mean, they're not doing well, right? But again, I think you can classify those from a monetary standpoint, like you said, as like a B level sponsor, which to you that would be like holy smokes, but like
of course.
From a national tours perspective, because all these corporates are starting to, if the corporate stuff wasn't there, they would be an A tier sponsor, but because you're starting to see it, like it's a B tier, but like some of the sponsors that Larson has, obviously I mentioned 4C's with Corey Day and like that kind of thing, but like you can't compete with a Napa or a Chili's.
Well, the only thing that it might not be, because it's still not NASCAR. I mean, we know that to put a full outlaw level team together is about $4 million. So you say if you're a $150 million, dollar company, that they could probably justify that if they think the exposure is good enough. Because like Finley Farms has to be, I've never Googled it, but I mean, it probably has to be pretty massive to keep their name on, because he can attract Hendrick and all those. And for them to still be on the car, I would think that they'd have to be monetarily competitive, even though he doesn't run a 120 race schedule a year, right? But I would think that
if we're going down that rabbit hole, before we get into, Saturday night's kind of recap, the HendrickCars.com thing has just like, he's got his damn name on everything now from every single series. I don't think he has it in the Arkham Menard series, but like you're seeing it literally everywhere. If it's racing, I mean, I think he's even sponsoring some of the micros, right? With like the Owen Larson, obviously, and some of that stuff. It's like, man, you want to talk about like, I can't even imagine the amount that, and all obviously tax write-off, but holy smokes. Like, so some of the corporate sponsors, I mean, obviously that's a derivative of Kyle Larson's Sunday commitment, right?
Mhm.
And it makes sense to have that on there. But yeah, I think all in all, long story long, I think there's a place for a couple rides or a couple sponsorships that are corporate, but I don't want to see them drive the little guys out of the sport completely, because that's not fun for anybody. And then we'll be having the conversations on this very podcast about, hey, so-and-so is a better driver than so-and-so, but this so-and-so's got, trust fund money and he can't, anyway.
Mhm. I do think the dirt is somewhat of an equalizer there too, to where the pavement racing isn't really cohesive with, like it does its aero packages. You're talking big tracks. Not that obviously the testing, the R&D, that's what I was kind of the assumption was that Rico's now in the wind tunnel, because otherwise what was the benefit of going there besides
Exactly.
the personnel, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
The exposure to that type of talent and recruitment, if you get to share, the brain trust there, just opens up a whole new world. And if you start seeing combinations, and I think even they said Chase Briscoe bought out, my wife was telling me Chase Briscoe bought out Brent Marx's team.
Yeah, I saw that.
So I don't know what all that entails. I didn't really get to, I was going to want to read up on it a little bit, but
Well,
you
and
drive for him.
you know
Can't he
that,
be fired?
yeah, well, and that's the thing too, is like JGR is backed by Johnny Morris and Bass Pro Shop. So it's like, is that part of does Johnny Morris see the benefit of HendrickCars.com and Chili's and all this? And now he's going to try to get into sprint. I mean, who knows? But in my opinion, I don't think Chase Briscoe can just buy a sprint car team outright. But I mean, I don't know his salary either, and I never will, but that's interesting for sure. There was another point I was going to make, but I lost my mind. So anyway. No,
Well, I guess
good question.
Yeah, and I mean, the final, to put a button on that, you're starting to see, it was kind of like interesting with Shots doing testing with Fox Shocks. I think you're going to see somebody come in and try to take down FK, or you're going to start seeing more parts competition. There is, because if you do have a growing number of sprint cars, I think that's been the problem for several years, is it seemed like, maybe the last, say, the decade, with car counts down, it didn't make sense for a lot of manufacturers to
Sure.
compete, but you're starting to see more chassis come around. You've got the mix of the American and the Chinese, what's going to be cost effective, or the guys that run home, you know what I mean? It's just so many different parts and manufacturers, and Smith Titanium came out of basically nowhere. Obviously Stevie Smith's been around, but it was like,
Sure.
you didn't see much of that stuff. And then all of a sudden you start making better components, lighter, I mean, which has only driven the cost up too,
Oh yeah.
for a lot of this stuff. But at that top level, I think, the next thing will be different cages. I think they're going to have to do a little something with either a bigger cockpit, or, you're starting to see fire suppression systems. Gunnar and I were actually talking the other day about, I'm going to have to bolt up the 6-bolt tank mounts to run with the Outlaws in September. So costs are going up. That's not getting any easier. But if there is more money, like even start money, if it's $1,000 to start at your regional shows, which I do think is possible. I mean, we talk about the purse all the time. In the 80s was like $1,500 to win.
Sure.
And the parts were a third as much. $30,000 engine was absolutely top notch, probably back in the 80s, maybe 40. And now the new TRD that they're testing with Kofoid and them is like an 80. I've heard all kinds of numbers, but let's just say it's 85,000 or 82,000. I mean, if a midget motor 70,
Right.
it's just crazy
That's insane.
what the numbers are getting to. But it's still like, it is funny for the horsepower you get, the speed you get, kind of keeping it in the driver's hands as much as you can. The wing makes it a little bit harder. But it will be interesting to see kind of the grassroots, whether that sticks or not.
Yeah. No, it's a great question. And it's something to keep an eye on, certainly. But yeah, I think what my point that I had forgotten for 15 seconds was when you were talking about Rico switching to TSR, and obviously I don't know his family's financial situation, but Abreu Vineyards obviously backed him with a couple other sponsors. So obviously he was winning races, he won a couple high limit championships, so he was definitely fine. But I think, to your point, if I can jump to one of these A tier teams, that's just going to give me more resources and opportunities. So anyway, yeah, interesting enough. To answer Barry's question about how many hats do I have, it's definitely not 150. It's, if you took the under there, you would be correct, but it's probably, I don't know, 50. I don't know. I'd have to count them, but it's a lot.
I've been literally, like, I was a baseball guy, so I started wearing hats at like, I don't know, 6 years old, and that's just been like every day, just a hat, a t-shirt, jeans, and tennis shoes, and that's my life now. So I probably do have at least probably about 75 hats.
Oh, well, there you go. So I don't feel well, and ironically enough, making them for a year or so. Yeah. You the ones you don't sell end up on your shelf. Anyways, Saturday. So obviously very cool with Tyler Courtney on Friday and that whole deal. But Saturday, obviously Ryan Tim's $35,000 richer. I admittedly keep forgetting how young he is. I just he's been around. I feel like not for so long, but for so long, and you just think he's like high 20s, early 30s, but he's literally a 19-year-old kid. Like you said, last year won the 410 deal, comes back 360 deal, and we'll maybe get to one of our picks if one of us is going to pick him for the 410 Nationals. But yeah, the battle, like you said, with Reitzel, I feel like Reitzel has started the year off in the high limit, just on an absolute heater, kind of in a not a lull, but obviously not on as big of a heater as he was, but pretty cool to see him up there, competing for the win and obviously that's your favorite driver. Yeah.
Yeah, probably out of the, I just saw that when he was running like all-stars and stuff, I used to watch him and was like, this guy is probably the only guy I would see that consistently would just outballs like even a Larson or say he's just an absolute lunatic. And I've always liked the kamikaze drivers. Sure. So, and he'd pull it off a lot. And then I think what made me cemented me as a fan is I used to hear so many guys say, oh, you'll see when you get older, you have kids or you take some nasty crashes. And they asked him after he had, I think maybe his first kid, they said, is that going to slow you down or anything? He's like, no, I got to feed the little shit. Now I'm going to go even harder. And this is how I make my living. And I was just like, hell yeah. So that's where I was like, this guy, he's a true believer in just going for broke every night out there. And he's his own crew chief. That's like Matt Covington's his own, and it's pretty badass. So love him or hate him, I think that's cool at least. Yeah, no, I don't think he's very humble too. You don't hear him talk much. He's just let my work do the talking for me, and obviously he does like to agitate every once in a while too. But he'll for the most part. Yeah. In my personal opinion, I think he's what's the correct word to describe him? He's not arrogant, but he's also confident. Confident is the word I would use to describe him, which is fine. And you got to be. I mean, you can't go in there being like, oh, no, you got to go for it. But anyway, cool battle with Ryan Timms. Dirty air isn't a thing. Right. He believes dirty doesn't. He doesn't believe in dirty air either. I watched a car. Speaking of sidetrack, but I watched. Damn, I can't remember who tucked in right behind somebody the other night. They were going for. They threw a bomb on him. Drove down into 3. Just it had to be what would be considered the dirtiest of air, and that car was still just absolutely stuck. So I'm like, well, that so it debunked the myth, huh? I mean, I've felt it before, but I also think I think those guys were right. A lot of that gets used as an excuse. So, but because I've definitely felt it, and it made me. Oh, it's still on this podcast. It's real. It's a real thing, and you have to prove us otherwise. Anyways, I think that was pretty much it for the 360 Nationals. So you want to take a sidetrack? Sorry. Yeah, no, you're good. It's good. I was just thinking I need a drink of my hydrate from Mountain Ops, so I think it'd be a good segue. We'll get into 410 Nationals, which start in 2 days on Wednesday. Blair and I are going to make our picks, and hopefully someone in the comments has been listening and has what do you call that? The losers. I don't know. That's dangerous. Losers fate. Yeah, well, I mean, it's got to be something we'll both agree on. I feel like you and I agreed the shaving cream, and then come to find out it kind of gave you a skin burn rash, so that wasn't the greatest idea. Fair punishment. I mean, if you lose, it should hurt a little, but I feel like not like that. Our audience picked that somebody's gonna be in Tijuana. Yeah, like we don't need emotional pain is one thing, but when it's physically causing pain to your face, like that might cross the line. But okay. Anyways, on the other side of the Mountain Ops ad, we will get into the 410 Nationals. But thank you to the Mountain Ops. Obviously, we posted again today. Certainly check them out. Fit your needs, whatever you got going on. If you're into working out, if you're into the outdoors, if you're just looking to stay healthy, they got pretty much everything that will arrange your lifestyle and what you need. So definitely go check them out. MountainOps.com, super easy to get there. There's a little promo code at checkout,
and enter TS podcast, all caps, to get 20% off your order, unless there's a bigger sale that's running, obviously, corporate America. But yeah, we appreciate their support, and go support those who support us. And we'll talk 410s on the other side. Whether you're chasing checkered flags, chasing elk in the mountains, casting a line, or crushing early morning workouts in the gym, there's one name every high performer should know: Mountain Ops. This team fuels athletes, hunters, racers, and weekend warriors with the cleanest, hardest-hitting supplements on the market. Let's be honest, this sport isn't for the soft. Late nights in the garage, long drives to the track, and hot evenings in the pits and in the car. We are built different. That's why we run on Mountain Ops. Their supplements hit hard, feel clean, and don't have all that junk you can't pronounce. From early mornings to late nights on race day, this is the stuff that keeps the crew moving and ready for the next lap. Want in? Head to mtnops.com, enter code TSPodcast at checkout, and get 20% off your order. That's right, enter code TSPODCAST at checkout for 20% off your order. You don't just want to show up, you want to win. Fuel like you mean it. Winners use Mountain Ops. Proud supporting partner of the Throwin Sliders podcast. All right. Thank you again, Mountain Ops, for your continued support of the Throwin Sliders podcast. Let's get right into it. So you have three, let's see, Wednesday, Thursday, and then so Friday would be the big show, or are they moving it to Saturday?
Saturday, I would assume.
So they have an off day Friday?
Dude, you asking me questions that I don't know the answer.
I'm talking aloud with you. I'm trying to figure this out on the fly. Anyways,
we should have probably looked at it. I thought I would know, but I
have it pulled up.
It's always on Saturday. It's got to be the big shows on Saturday.
It says split across Wednesday and Thursday prelim nights. So, but then it doesn't talk about Friday. I would imagine it's Saturday, but Tara can tell us. Anyways, we'll talk about the nights that we do know. We were talking about this in the pre-show a little bit. And you could really make a case that the winner this Saturday, presumably, big show, could really come from either prelim night. I guess we're calling them qualifying nights. Wednesday is Brandt qualifying night, and then Thursday is Toyota qualifying night. Obviously, we don't have. Okay, so there's a Friday show. Why is it not showing Friday?
Yeah, because I think that's when my daughter's going.
Anyways, well, I did ask Google a certain question. Anyways, we got our picks locked in. We did this in the pre-show. We will go, what do you call it? Order. Volley. We'll volley. All right. So 410 for the big show. Blair and I are going to do two actual picks and then a long shot pick, as we've done in the past. If you're a Throwin Sliders podcast listener, or if you're new to the show, we will add all three finishers up for Team Blair, Team Brandon, and the lowest average finish of those three drivers will win the bet. And unfortunately, we in the years past, tried to come up with a algorithm that if your driver crashed out or something, but it just gets too messy, and that's all for fun anyway. So if your guy wrecks out, that sucks to be you, and you shouldn't have picked him. So anyway, Blair, you're up first with your first pick in the Throwin Sliders podcast draft.
Got to go with my boy, bridesmaid twice in the 360 Nats. We just talked about him, Aaron Reitzel. I think he's going to get it done, or has a good shot to do it. So,
yeah. And just looking at the two prelim nights. Oh, wait a minute. Anyways, I was reading the comments. Never mind. Okay, so Team Cooper's going with Aaron Reitzel first. I am going to go with my boy. Speaking of 4C's construction, Mr. Corey Day in the 14 on Wednesday night.
Nice.
Who's up next?
Well, I'm going to go with
who's up next. Who are you picking next? You're up next.
Yeah. I think that he has a good shot. They've got Knoxville figured out pretty good, I think. I'm going to go with the kid, Tim's, see if he can't do it again. See if those notes translate from last year. And he was up by, 3 seconds out front? So, man.
Yeah.
Not a long shot no more.
No, not at all. Who did I say was my second one? Oh, the low-hanging fruit, Mr. David Gravel in the big game machine. Can never count him out. So
this will be the first time you haven't put Larson on your hero roster.
Dude, I'm not trying to get shaving cream on my face or something. Like, he's just I'm telling you, we talked about it on the pod. Sundays he's won a couple sprint car races throughout the year, but he's wrecking everything he's freaking in, and I can't afford to lose this bet. So, and knowing just because I said that, he will go out and wax the field like he did in 2024, but I am, spoiler alert, he is not on my roster. So going with David Gravel for the second overall pick, or the third overall pick. All right. Long shot.
Long shots, dark horses. He's kind of struggled this year, so it is really a long shot pick, even though he is a Knoxville guy. I'm going to go with Blackjack Bryan Brown. I think that if there's somebody that
I think you picked him in another race. I feel like I'm pretty sure
it was probably
the Chili Bowl.
No, I don't think he raced. I don't think I've ever seen him in a midget. It was probably Knoxville at some point. Either there or maybe Eldora would be the only other one. He's pretty good on the long tracks, but he's kind of been struggling. So hopefully we get to see him back up towards the front. I think he seems like it's funny. One thing I learned when I was a kid, I used to watch a lot of the guys on asphalt, and then they were still around when I was like the guys you'd root and cheer for when you were a kid, but you didn't actually know them. And then when you're in a start racing and stuff, and then you meet him in the pits, you're like, that guy's an asshole. I can't believe I was a fan of his for 10 years as a kid. Like, that sucks. So don't meet your heroes, I guess.
And that's Bryan Brown for you?
No, I think he's awesome. He seems like he's awesome. I think he would probably be one of those that's actually really cool.
I got you.
Like that.
It's like, damn, you're picking him and then throwing shade immediately.
No, not at all. No, I think he's probably a really nice one. Yeah. No, I just think that came to my head of like, he seems like a cool guy, but like I said, you never know. But no, I don't think he's that
it's fair.
Doesn't seem to be.
Yeah. And of course your wife, long shot Baston. I think looks don't matter here, unfortunately.
He wears skinny jeans. Jesus.
Oh man. I'm looking at the damn list. Who did I say? Did we agree to Tyler? No, we agreed that he can't be a long shot. Who did I pick?
Yeah. Shit, I don't know.
You wrote it down.
Kyle Larson was your long shot. No, I only wrote it down because you go, no, you don't need to write it down. You go, no, you don't. I got Gravel and Day.
No.
I think you were going to go with Joe Beaver, the rookie.
No, I was not. Because we stopped talking at Tyler Courtney. So I guess I'm going Sheldon Hodenshield, I guess. Can we consider him a long shot?
Guy's second in the outlaw points.
Okay, you tell me.
No, I'm just kidding. I don't care. That's a good one. That's fine.
I mean, okay, we'll make this fair. I'm going to go Casey Kane.
Oh my God. Wow.
That's cool.
Shot. You never know. I mean, honestly, because will he be in the Macri ride? Because Macri's out since he got hurt. So that's who he drove for when he won his first race. Yeah, that's who.
He's in. It would be the Brad Sweet or Casey Kane because it's the 4. So he's not going to swap.
When he won in the Outlaws, his first Outlaw race win came in the Macri car. So I would think all those other rides would be full. Did he just enter or was he already entered beforehand?
I have no idea.
That's something we're going to have to find out, but you could go with Kane. That's a dark horse.
Yeah, I mean, who else do you want me to pick?
That's good. No, that's good. I think that's a good pick.
Between Bryan Brown and the rookie.
Hey, dude, you just put Kyle Larson as your dark horse. He's been struggling this season. I'm just kidding.
I did not. I'm not even thinking about him.
So Casey Kane was already entered, she thinks. But, I mean, it's not impossible. I mean, he could do it.
I'm looking for him to not win the damn thing. Give me a top 10. Give me that just that little edge to beat whoever you pick or picked. And
who's your dark horse? Donnie Schatz.
Yeah. I
11-time winner.
Right. I for the life of me can't remember who we picked in the pre-show. It's bugging me. Anyways,
who would you pick, Gunner? Give us your dark horse in your comments. Who's a good dark horse? Is Brandon's alternate dark horse? I think Kane's a good one.
I'm locked in.
Fine.
For the information that Google has provided, and it skipped over Friday, so we have no idea who's in there. And it doesn't even say like the top picks. James McFadden? No, I'm not picking him.
I thought about McFadden.
That's not a long shot. Are you kidding me?
Well, I don't think he's really expected to win Knoxville. I don't know what his track record is.
Do we need to have a rudimentary understanding of what a dark horse means? Like,
not a full-time guy.
Yeah, not full-time, not a past champion or past winner of the Nationals. None of that. Like
Emerson Axum. That's a dark horse.
I would consider Emerson Axum, but I think
Danny Sams.
Yeah. Florida man. Yeah. Anyways. All right.
NASCAR champion, Coca-Cola 600 winner, Casey Kane. Real dark horse. I'm just giving you shit.
Okay.
Tara picked base, and he's full time, but like I said, his pants are so tight, he's not going to win shit. So
Lululemon, is his sponsor for the night.
Yeah.
Anyways, so let's recap. Corey Day, David Gravel, and Casey Kane. So all of my picks are coming on Wednesday night. So hopefully they don't wreck each other. I didn't think about that. And yours are in Thursday night, right? Brian Brown. Who else did you pick? Oh, Reitzel, and who else?
Tim's. Ryan Timms.
So he must be on Friday then.
Yeah. Well,
no, he's on Wednesday. He's on Wednesday.
Yeah. Sorry. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. All good. Now that we got that squared away and we figured out what a dark horse means, we can officially proceed. Now, what's the punishment? Nobody's put in the. Oh, Gunnar didn't he? Sheldon is a long shot. I didn't pick Sheldon. Don't shoot the messenger. Jeez Louise. Parker Price Miller, I could argue, is not a dark horse anyway. Anyways, what did he say? If Blair loses, Brandon gets to drive his car at the Outlaw Show. Well, that's a bad idea for everybody involved. That has not only emotional implications, financial implications, and physical implications to myself. So, and a lot of manual labor for Blair. So we're not doing that.
That would be funny though. You'll know if I win the Powerball. I'll have you a ride sitting there.
I don't. Even if you did that, I'm gonna say absolutely not. Like I'm in no shape to drive a race car, mentally or physically or any of it. But we'll figure something out. We'll post our Team Cooper, Team Hall picks so you guys can follow along. And now we got skin in the game. We just don't know how much skin. And I don't know. Google something. Tara, Google something. It's coming off our what?
McCarl. Yeah, where the skin's coming from. We'll see how bad the punishment is.
Yeah.
Austin McCarl. That'd be a good one. Yeah.
You're not changing my damn pick. I'm going with Casey Kane.
That's his. We're gonna lock Gunnar in with McCarl.
There you go. And I freaking laugh
Joe
my
Beaver.
ass off if
I want
Casey
Joe Beaver
Kane
to
wins
win
the
it.
damn thing. Then I'll get so much heat that Casey Kane wasn't a dark horse if he ended up winning the damn thing, and if the bet would be over. So I see where this is going.
We're gonna hose you either way.
Yep, 100%. All right, well, we'll figure something out for punishment. We did have a mailbag question. If we want to segue into that, and then you had a topic that you wanted to touch on.
Shoot, we might be out of time, but we can.
No, we're not. No, we're not. We're good.
Okay,
I'll get through this one. So again, Mark Ashcraft, thank you again for submitting a mailbag question, and shame on you, everybody else who's watching and listening that has not submitted one. Please get those in. Mark says, at a local level, it seems 90% of track series sponsors are associated with racing in some way. What do you feel needs to happen to bring outside sponsorship to our tracks/series? What say you, Mr. Cooper?
I think it's kind of funny. We actually hit on the corporate side of that.
Yeah, it's a good. So I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, so I mean, at the higher levels, and what's funny with dirt too is the local track becomes the Outlaw or the High Limit or the Lucas Oil. The modifieds that roll in for some of these big shows. So I think that a lot of times, if you can see promoters do it for those shows, that they have to attract a dollar amount, because for those that don't know, at least historically, and I'm not sure if this still stands, but to get, and the only reason the sprint car side of it's because what I know, but I'm sure it's the same for Lucas Oil or World of Outlaws, late models, shows like that. If you bring these in, there's 3 different ways that they would do it for a track. This is kind of a side topic here, but it all pertains. That one, you could either take all the risk, promote the event yourself, but the Outlaws are going to need a minimum purse, a minimum payout, or High Limit is the same way. 2, you could split the cost with them. And then
he's talking local level.
Oh, okay. Just local
level. Yep.
Well, but I think this kind of does pertain. So as far as putting on shows, so it's all about the risk, right? I mean, whatever the business or racetracks at the end of the day are a business. The economics of it are different than a lot of other businesses, but I look at it more of like anything entertainment that you do, whether you're putting on a concert, you got to put the asses in the seats. And to do that, the advertisers, the branding partners, I don't see beer sponsors at these tracks anymore, that somebody that has the license to only sell that kind, and food vendors, they're mixing that up, but they pay a percentage. There needs to be more of that, but it always comes back to, you have to put people in the seats that will attract more advertisers because it has to be a cost benefit to
Sure.
them. And then, it's all feeds itself. I mean, it's circular, right? It's circular financing in a way,
There-
like you and I had talked about earlier, way to bring it roundabout. But for a business to be interested locally, they have to have some incentive. And there has to be a gain from it, bottom line. I mean, but some of the stuff I think they miss is the easy thing. We've talked about that a lot. At a lot of dirt tracks, I don't see signage anymore. I mean, even the $500 sign, stuff like that, the simple things. I know at El Paso for a lot of, they have the banners because they can be replaced every year. They don't have the infrastructure for signage. I'm sure the county, but you go to a lot of these places and it's bare and it's empty, and you can tell when a racetrack's just run and they only focus on the local stuff. And we already know that's not cutting it anymore. It's just not. So in my eyes, the local racing, if you want to run an IMCA class, these tracks need to coordinate. I mean, we can only really speak for Colorado because you go to some of these other states and the local weekly show is absolutely packed. If you're in Pennsylvania or out east or down south with the late models, Tennessee, Alabama, Hunt the Front was kind of they take local tracks that you'd never heard of and they brought in the money. I'm sure that's where I kind of was going with the financing part of it is you could take half the risk as the track, half the risk goes to the tour. They get to keep any extra from the gate that you collect or whatever it is, concessions, stuff like that. But until we start seeing more of that, and like I said, with the videos, the promotion, I just don't see how you attract a big dollar sponsorship. When it's, if you go there and say the business goes there, they think, well, maybe this is a good idea. Because this is how I would do it, is I would go there and see how many eyeballs are going to see my sign, how many people are regulars there, what is the audience, what is your market demographic? Racing, you have to find the niche, so you have to approach those type of businesses. A Pottery Barn is not going to sponsor a dirt track. It just doesn't make sense. So you really have to find people where they are. Your social media, it's more than just the racetrack. And I think a lot of the promoters, it's kind of like construction guys. They're all getting older. Some of them are getting left behind and some of them are really ramping it up. And look at Kokomo, Indiana. I can't wait to watch that show. And it's going to be fully advertised around there. It's just, I don't know. It's like, I want to help them do their job, but we can't do it for them either.
Sure. I think, in my response to Mark's question, I think High Limit does a great job. And I know his specific question was local, but I think local tracks, and we can hone in Colorado or regional to this area, Rocky Mountains, for my response here. If you take what High Limit is doing, right, they have sponsors for literally everything of the event. The pick pint for the choose cone, that's sponsored. They have when they're drawing the redraw wheel, that's sponsored. Victory Lane is sponsored. You can incorporate that kind of stuff, and it's low dollar. Like you said, you were focusing on the big piece of the pie, right? Like, how do we get this, sponsored by rouughtruck.com, like the entire thing? That's great. And you need that because that's what's going to pay the most purse and this, that, and the other. But if you break it down to a more granular level and say, okay, rouughtruck.com, we understand that you maybe don't want to sponsor the entire event. But if you want to do, the draw, give me $1,000. We'll let you do the draw. We'll announce it on the PA. Obviously there's going to be some nuances there because no one in the stands sees that or hears that, but you'd have to make that, announced a little bit, like have the guy up in the booth come down there and announce the whole thing. All right, Blair just drew a 7 and Brian Gossel drew a 99, whatever the case is. So there's little nuances there that I feel like could help drive local tracks and split it up. And there's so many people on social media, you see it from the different racing pages, just asking for sponsorships straight up, or they'll come up with clever ideas. Hey, I want you. And I think we talked about this maybe a year ago for one of the series out West. I can't remember what it was, asphalt race, but you basically buy a spot on the hood, right? There's, yes, that's the same thing as asking for that. But if you break it down and it's not such a glaring number, to these sponsors, I think it could certainly help. So I think there is some ways, and when they're doing the through the field, right? I hear the guy at El Paso, for example, because that's the latest on my mind, going through the lineup as you guys are doing your, one to go. That could be sponsored by someone. Give them $250, and everybody in the stands is going to hear that. That might be worth more money, but yeah, just little nuances like that.
No, I actually think that was probably a better answer for the local level than what I had is, yeah, I don't think you need, like you said, you don't need a ton of money from each of those, but every little bit helps. I mean, even if it is $200-300, so that's justifiable for a business. You keep them on, give them an incentive. More races they do, the cheaper it gets, and then you start building them. But no, that's good thinking. That, yeah, because I always am like, I work top down, right? Because it's just like, to me, it's just so hard to attract local cars. But if some of that money goes back to the racers, you're probably right. Anytime you increase purse or start money, that was kind of like the argument we had of paying the huge top end, which is not huge, but at some of these races, or do you pay down through the field? I think it's more important now, even though, like, if I have a good finish, I wish I would have gotten the big check. But racing more, I know I'm not going to win as much, or these guys are not going to just dominate. That helps. Anything helps. Hard Charger Award sponsor,
right? I mean, and
like
I think
big.
To Tara's point there with Alan Davis and Honor, at least back when I was running in 2023, there they would do a lap. A sponsor would buy a lap or provide extra laps sponsored by so-and-so. CNS does a great job of sponsoring individual classes, right? Like the Mountain States Fire Protection late models or AC Transmission Legends, like great way. Like everybody's going to have their sticker on their cars, mandatory if you run that class. Like there's little nuances. And I feel like the dirt scene High Limit does a great job, but I feel like there's a lot of. I promise you that if you give Blair and I a blank check to buy a track and run a track, by God, it would be the best in the country. But unfortunately, we haven't got that check yet.
Yeah, I don't even want to, because I do think it is. That'd be a nightmare putting up with racers. But yeah, you'd be good at it. But I
don't know about that.
Yeah, I do. We actually, it was kind of like we talked about when we would see incentive. We actually sponsored the Legends before AC Transmission did, because it seemed like the value was there. I think it was $5,000 for the whole season. Every car had to run the sticker. You were titled as the Rhino Linings Legend cars at CNS and with the R.
Oh, I didn't know that you got.
Yeah, that was right the year or two before you came in. But it seemed like enough value add that then every car. The picture that came out, the Joe Star, we'd reshare those photos, and it was like everybody had that. Right.
Yeah. No, there's some. Obviously, first off, thank you, Mark, for another good question. Gets the gears turning, and good collaboration there. But yeah, it's like I said, we don't envy these track promoters, and it's a business at the end of the day. And maybe they have gone down that rabbit hole, and nobody wanted to do it. But yeah, we can always discuss it. That's what we're here for. So. We got a little bit of time left, Blair. If you want to go on your rant.
I wore myself out on this last one. It was just kind of funny. We've talked about it a lot. And I think even just this on like the paying for rides and guys getting in, I hear a lot of people around the racetrack that may be in more of they're maybe not in a race car yet. They're guys that hang around the pits or they're guys in more of an entry level class, and they'll come by and it's kind of like that. Oh, it must be nice. Like now we're racing that, whether you see, it happens with the super late models at CNS or sprint cars or, even
I've said it. Shit.
Sure. I know. And we all get that way. I've done it too, but I think when you're around long enough and you've been around me, that I've always felt like this has taken me, it took me 10 years to build up to that. And it did seem almost impossible at the beginning. I didn't actually even know where I was going. We started out in the Legend cars. My family, they helped me out, and my brother, when we started with some tires and stuff like that. But it wasn't just going to write you a check, buy you the car, do this. Sure. So I think for a lot of guys, when they see this stuff, when you're starting from zero, it seems a little bit insurmountable. And there's that attitude of, oh, it must be nice. I could never do this. And you and I had talked in the pre-show of like, yeah, you can. It's how much do you want to sacrifice? I see a lot of guys say that, and then I see on their Facebook that they're at steak dinners, they're out buying new cars and all this other stuff outside of that, or the toys, or a jet ski, boats, whatever the toys are, RVs. It's endless. We can all divert the funds however we want. Now, you may not be there when you wanted to be. That's like, I would have liked to have been 23 years old doing what I'm doing and having the seat time for an extra 10 years. But it's kind of gotten to be where it is a little bit irritating. I think that maybe some of the grit from just in American attitude in general of like, well, I can't have it right now, so why even try? And let me tell you, from a guy who's, it's like that absolutely has just banged my head against the wall for, 14, 13 years at this point. I never even thought I would, I was kind of, my dream was a super late model route, right? Because that's what my dad did, and the asphalt and stuff. So I kind of wanted to follow that. I loved watching those cars. But it does get a little bit irritating. And it's not of a place of like, oh, I'm tired of hearing that. It makes me feel bad for people, but I'm also like, if this really is your dream, get off your ass, quit going to 5-star restaurants or on expensive trips and sacrifice, and you can get there.
I feel like you're targeting me.
There. No, I'm not. Because with
my Nike shoes that get here on Thursday, and you're targeting me.
Yeah, but you're not. You've got other priorities right now, and you also like hunting and stuff. And you had flat out said you didn't love the idea of the racing as much to eat ramen noodles every night. I mean, that was 100%. We've all got our interests, but for the guys that say this is my absolute dream, like,
well, and I'll interject there. Like, I did draw a line, wife or not, that before I even, met my wife and had a kid and whatnot. Like, you hear of those stories where the people are trying and they're not, maybe they are making those comments about, oh, it must be nice that so-and-so's got this and whatever, but at least they're still trying. But their level of sacrifice, to me, and everybody's entitled to their own opinion, is if I want to run this, whatever, pure stock, I have to eat peanut butter and jelly and ramen noodles all week in order to afford tires and this, that, and the other. And I personally am not willing to do that. And I'm not the 5-star restaurant every single day kind of guy. No. And I'm just clarifying that, but like, there's nothing wrong with ramen noodles or peanut butter and jelly. But if you're going to sacrifice that much and the budget is that tight, I'm out. And I've always lived like, obviously to Danny McBride's point, my racing career, if you will, was not as long as some, but I did model my funds like that. Like and sponsors too. Like when I started racing, like I was appreciative for all the sponsors I had, but they weren't, funding it necessarily. Every bit helps, but it was always out of my own pocket. And I always said, like, if I don't have enough to live on, then racing is, not going to cut it. But anyway.
Sure. No, I mean, that's why we talk about this stuff a lot. But I think that's the other thing too, is I've always looked at guys that had built more and I'm just like, well, how did you do it? You know what I mean? It's like, I have those conversations. How do I get there? And then I also think like sometimes I even get a little bummed out. Like I'm probably not going to make it to high limit, whether it's a talent thing or it's a funding thing or just even the opportunity. I mean, if I could race 60, 70 times a year, think of how comfortable you get in the car. But just to try to learn from those guys. And then also like, even for me, if I wouldn't have made it here to even start sometimes, if you're one of those people that like sit in the stands and are like, man, I really wish, it's like, well, it's like your parents didn't have to do it. We're seeing kids that their parents didn't race now, which I think is more common. It's like for a long time, it was like, oh, well, my dad did this. And I mean, I kind of had that too, even though it wasn't, it was a little bit different because he wasn't doing it my whole life. He took a break and then got back into it kind of because I got into it. I was going to go drag racing. So, because that's what my friends were doing. And yeah, me too. But, that's what my friends were doing. And that seemed like a little bit easier entry because you could get, you could put together a 12-second car or something like that. And you weren't going to crash it every weekend, hopefully, or, having to be working on it near as much. But, so I think just people, if you're out there too, and now I'm going to get sentimental, but like, you got to just, I'm just one of those guys. It's like, you just got to go for it. You got to start somewhere. Who knows where you'll end up? Like I never planned to be on this route. Whether you race, and if I would have raced Legends my whole career, I would have been happy because at least, I remember taking those first laps, and you too. It's like, well, at least now nobody can say I didn't have the nuts to strap into something, you know what I mean? Or whatever it is. Yeah. So I'd like to see a little more of that come back in this country. And for the kids, it's like, because the kids, you don't hear that as much anymore. It's like, oh, even my mom, of course, don't listen to your mom's kids. Here's the number one.
Yeah,
because if you, like she didn't want me to race, you know what I mean? And I'd seen this, how hard it was for my dad to just the work and the time and the, the shop hours, the 3 a.m. and stuff like that. And that should have been real discouraging for me. But, I was like, man, if this is something you really want to do, you just got to start somewhere. But don't be afraid. That was the other thing. My ego didn't want me to start outside of like a super late model or something as like a 17-year-old kid. And my dad's like, cool, you got 120 grand, you go get your own car, bud. You're not I'm not just going to give this to you. And I think that created some
Here's
grit.
a pitch talk for you.
Yeah. So he's like, go get that. And I'm like, I don't want to do that. And man, what if I never would have? I just think about that a lot. So whatever it is, it doesn't have to be racing. But anyway, I know that's a rant, but that's
I
on
think
top of my mind a lot.
I think it's a good point, and we are going to need these kids, like you said, that are sitting in the stands that have no lineage of racing in their past, and their mom and dad maybe just took them to a racetrack or whatever, and they're sitting there, just like the story I shared 2 weeks ago, like, damn it, like obviously I had racing in my family a little bit, but not like my mom or my dad or whatever. But like, damn it, I want one of those bandoleros, and I'll give up 18 Christmases of my life or 15 Christmases of my life to get that. Obviously, that's not me working per se, but
sure,
we are going to need the younger generation to take a leap of faith, because eventually everybody's going to get old and everybody's going to quit racing and do whatever they're going to do in their later life. So we are going to need those youngsters. And it's also concerning because, like you said, everybody just expects it. And if they get into the nitty gritty details of, okay, I know it's cost X to get this car that I want, and I'm going to have to go, at that point, I'm going to have to mow 2 summers worth of lawns and shovel this much snow and whatever to get that. They don't want to do it. They want to just sit on YouTube every day and just try to get rich, being what's his name that started that whole trend,
Mr. Beast or something.
Mr. Beast, yeah, like that's a 1/10 of a 1%er. Like, you can't rely on that. But I think there's a problem as it relates to racing, because it does take a lot of effort, money, and time. And I think the younger generation coming up below us is not cut from the same cloth. So it'd be interesting to see. But valid points for sure.
Well, I mean, it's even like kids not want to drive. I guess that's what scares me, is that like kids don't even want to drive now. A lot of them. I drive by my old high school sometimes because it's on our way to work.
I see another Waymo, I'm gonna frickin' run it off the road. Like, what?
Oh,
anyway,
I'm lucky we're in Pueblo. We don't have them, because they'd probably get shot up. But somebody shot the Waymo again.
Yeah, I'd see the next domestic dispute down there in a Waymo.
Yeah, but it is just anyway, that was just kind of top of mind. But yeah, I think that's another thing of like, if you are a parent that maybe you can't even afford the race cars, or like, oh, I can't afford this or something.
That's common.
Like,
I mean, that's expensive.
Of course.
Like, yeah.
But it can be built up. Like, that's anything that's worthwhile. That's the like 100%. My parents, the thing now that I'm getting older, I'm like, shit, these people were right. Like, anything that's going to be worthwhile is extremely hard. And now I feel like it's really rewarding. I mean, I'm never satisfied. I'm one of those people that just, I don't know that it's like, it's a defect, I'm sure. But anyway, to defective. Do it is like, yeah, I'm defective. Absolutely. But man, I don't know. Just go for it. Just don't be, just do it,
Yeah.
Or go help. Like, you don't have to be, not everybody's going to be a driver either. Like, that's the other thing. Like, I always talk about how much I respect crew guys and crew chiefs. To me, those are the dudes I'm like, that guy's bad. Even like when you come to the track, our little crew, it's like, man, you can throw stuff around and it's so much faster and easier. And those are the guys I like.
Don't make me bust out my shirt and Hulk Hogan on you. But no, like Dean makes a good point in the comments. If I could talk, if I could share it, right? There we go. Overtime at work paid for my first late model. That's exactly right. So you have a 9 to 5 and you're like, hey, I want to do this. Let me put in some extra hours. If, nowadays it's salary is mostly the deal, but just little nuances like that. And like Blair said, if you could take a lesson from the Throwin Sliders podcast, it's not just racing, but anything in life. But I am concerned about the younger generation. So we'll see how it shapes up. Yeah. It'll all go to AI racing, right? You just
jeez.
It'd be all iRacing. Yeah. So anyway,
do something dangerous and don't listen to your mom. That's a message thrown.
Yeah. You got to not listen to your mom. Yeah. If we could teach you one thing, don't listen to your mom. Well, we appreciate everybody tuning in tonight. Like I said, hopefully we get Keith Roush on next week. We'll keep you tuned on that. We will post our picks for the 410 Nationals, so you guys can follow along with Team Cooper, Team Hall, and we will try to pick our poison for losing such a bet. And I'm sure I'm going to just get absolutely clobbered with my Casey Kane dark horse pick if he does well. So I'm fully anticipating the banter on social media, but it's all good and fun. we appreciate you guys tuning in tonight. Anywhere racing this weekend? I didn't even look at the schedule, to be honest with you.
I'm sure they are. It's not me though. We're getting ready to go to Votto, so I think that's
It's
the next
not you.
one for me, and then the Outlaws. So I have to
Uh,
change. So for anybody who wants to feel bad for me, I have to change nozzle lines off the injection, and it's going to be an absolute nightmare. So think of me.
Okay. Well, there you go. Well, maybe you got Tom. You're good. He'll figure it out.
No, it's really a one-man job, and it's just tiny little to get the nozzle lines off. I'll send you a picture. It's going to be absolutely terrible. So about 6 hours of my life just shot. All 8 of them.
When's that Votto, or is Votto before World of Outlaws?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I get like first. It's Memorial. Is it Memorial or Labor Day? I can never remember which one it is. Labor Day. So it's Labor Day weekend.
Okay.
So I think we're planning on heading down there. Yep.
3 weeks. There you go. So, all right. Well, we appreciate it. If you guys are racing this weekend, keep it rubber side down. Do not give us a reason to talk about you, or do, because it's good commentary. But yeah, hopefully we have a guest on Monday and we can proceed with our normal scheduled show. But appreciate you guys tuning in for a kind of just a revised off the cuff. Did someone say something funny in the comments? Gotta look at that.
No, we were just talking about quarter midgets. I'm like, all these guys have every kid's got one for every class of quarter midget.
Oh my goodness!
Like, holy shit!
I will shout out Kyle Clegg and Chris Eggleston, because I saw the post for like all the awards, and I was like, my goodness, do they ever have a break that day? It's just like in the next one, in the next one, in the next one. But good, crazy. I mean, cool, man.
Get your kids a cart.
Yeah,
I think kart racers were better than quarter midget racers, so there's fight me over that one. But the guys I raced against that started in open road course karts.
What's up? Just kidding. Those trophies don't mean nothing. They were probably bought on eBay. Anyways, we'll see you guys next Monday, 7:30 Mountain, with or without a guest, but hoping for the former. And appreciate you guys' time tonight. Make sure you drop us a line in the mailbag. Mark Ashcraft certainly gets the award, if there is such a thing, for most mailbags submitted in 2026. And keep it coming, Mark. We appreciate the commentary and giving us something to talk about. So make sure you tune in if you are a Dirt Vision subscriber, and watch all the action starting Wednesday all the way through Saturday, and root for either Team Cooper or Team Hall, and we'll see who the better man is on the other side. So appreciate that, and we'll see you guys next Monday. Keep throwing those sliders.
Peace.
This was another production of Scrubbin' Tires Media. The Throwin Sliders podcast is hosted by Blair Cooper and Brandon Hall. Video and audio was created by Bryce Holcomb. Please like, share, and leave a 5-star review. And as always, keep throwing those